GoFundMe, time to invest in Attorney Shield? Saturday was another day of goose eggs across the board for the campaigns we invest in, where even our own fund received no love from our backers. But a new proposition emerged from Sean Paul Long Island Audit Riaz to entice new investors. Riaz posted to Twitter, "Fellow patriots, let's become business partners. Invest in Attorney Shield. I've received many comments and emails from people asking me how they can invest in Attorney Shield. Now you can! Become a part of fundamentally changing policing in America and protect all of your constitutional rights." This link takes possible investors to a Start Engine page for Attorney Shield. Start Engine is a Kickstarter-type service that allows companies to offer shares for sale in their companies before they make an initial public offering. Reviews of the service say it's a great way for companies to make money. However, all the risk is on the end of the user, as the shares and share price paid on the service may compete with later lower price shares offered by the same company. Users also complain that the majority of companies never make it to initial public offerings, and that investing is more often than not a waste of money by investors, as they'll never get a return on their investment. Attorney Shield's page claims that the company is valued at $10.56 million, and it has raised, as of press time, $55,605 from Start Engine investors. The minimum investment is $100.80 per person, with the shares going for $1.20 per share. Perks include 10% bonus shares for the investors of $100 or more during the first 72 hours of the campaign, an annual Attorney Shield family membership for those who invest $500, a lifetime individual Attorney Shield membership for those who invest $1,000, a lifetime family Attorney Shield membership for those who invest $5,000, and a 5% bonus shares for those who invest $10,000. Riaz is a paid spokesperson for the company with a significant investment in the product. The product launched earlier this year and offers the ability to talk to an attorney when you are involved in a traffic stop or an encounter with the police. The application also records all interactions with police when activated and prevents police from accessing a user's phone to stop the recording. Riaz has turned at least one of his arrests this year into a commercial for Attorney Shield, as police were unable to stop his live stream after the arrest, and his phone kept recording while it was locked in the trunk of a police cruiser. The YouTuber has received criticism from fellow YouTuber Jose Chile de Castro for his involvement in the project, as de Castro offers his 5A cop cards and indestructible trifold products, which he claims are better than having an attorney on call during a traffic stop. De Castro also previously claimed to be the world's greatest auditor, as his subscriber base will soon surpass Riaz's subscriber base, despite Riaz completely outdrawing De Castro's numbers in live viewership, post-event viewership, and audience participation. On that note, if you'd like to keep us from leaving the house and ever needing the 5A Cop Trifold or Shield Attorney and force me to keep writing this column each day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Feds set DeWitt arraignment date. The Jeremy DeWitt News by PoliceTube's Uncle YouTube channel reported on Friday that federal authorities have scheduled August 26, 2024 for DeWitt's arraignment and first appearance in court for charges of federal tax evasion. 2 counts of federal tax evasion were filed against DeWitt after a grand jury indicted him on the 2 counts of filing false tax returns in March of this year. DeWitt's arraignment had been scheduled for April 2, 2024, but he had failed to show up for the hearing. A bench warrant was issued after DeWitt failed to appear at the April 10, 2024 rescheduled court hearing. The YouTuber and police enthusiast has been in the care of the Osceola, Florida County Jail since then, standing trial for multiple charges related to failing to properly register a motor vehicle. With 2 of those trials starting in late August and mid-September, federal authorities were forced to issue a writ of habeas corpus in order to have a federal judge order the temporary removal of DeWitt from the county jail to appear at his court hearing. A federal judge signed off on the order late in the week and has instructed the warden of the jail to release DeWitt to the United States Marshal for transport to his hearing on August 26th and to return him to the jail later that day. DeWitt's attorney did not object to the judge's order. The tax evasion charges are related to DeWitt's Metro State Special Services funeral procession escort business. DeWitt is accused of falsely recording his income for the years 2017 and 2018 on his tax returns filed in 2018 and 2019. He is facing up to 3 years in federal prison, a fine of $100,000, or both for each charge. Ellis claims Turtle Boy is a confidential informant. The insanity in Massachusetts continued as Grant Smith Ellis went on a Twitter rampage early Sunday morning, accusing Aidan Turtleboy Kearney of being a confidential informant who has worked with the feds as his only explanation for why Kearney has avoided jail time. Ellis wrote, "I can tell when I'm getting close to an uncomfortable truth, be it about Kate Peters' misconduct or otherwise, but the developments over the past 48 hours related to reports that Aidan Turtleboy Kearney is a federal confidential informant have blown even me away. The story is not going away, in particular as it explains so much. Kearney's hands-off treatment by officials statewide, despite tormenting witnesses and victims in his criminal cases, Kate Peter asking me not to cover the reports, that Kearney became a federal confidential informant with Karen Reed's help, despite Peter herself being directly aware of an FBI agent intervening in one of Kearney's cases in May of 2023, reports that Kearney couldn't leave his PC when he was in jail because of right-wing threats, and Kearney ignoring reports about Peter's serious financial and political misconduct related to the Karen Reed trial. It all leads to one conclusion. Kearney and Peter know far more about each other than they are letting on. The two were colleagues years ago, share similar sources, and it appears both are working in some larger political context that is both interconnected to the Reed case, yet also far more expansive. Ellis was responding to a relentless attack by Aidan Turtleboy Kearney on himself and his family Saturday night into Sunday morning. Kearney exposed what he claimed to be police reports involving Ellis and Ellis's family, made fun of Ellis's medical conditions, and attempted to further tarnish Ellis's mental capacity. In one of his continuing attacks on Twitter, Kearney wrote, "Grant tried stealing his brother's car, prompting Mom Wendy Murphy to call the police, who got Grant to give the car back because he promised Wendy he would. In other shocking development, Grant told police that his mother was a gold digger. Who treats their mother like this? We would love to interview his rapper brother Cameron, and I'm willing to pay in food stamps if he's willing to come on the live show to discuss what it's like growing up with Grant and Wendy." Questions have been posed as to why Turtleboy Kearney had been put in protective custody when he was in jail over the winter holidays, in violation for terms of his release. He had been kept in the medical unit with the mentally ill patients who were unfit to interact with the normal population. With no clear diagnosis of physical or mental illness, and Kearney himself stating he wanted to be with the normal inmates in multiple statements from jail, but denied due to a threat on Kearney's life, unfounded and unconfirmed speculation has been that the YouTuber has worked in the past as a confidential informer, resulting in the need to segregate him from those who would do him harm. The Ellis-Kearney war is expected to continue on Sunday. Benson fights heat, homeless, and police in Inglewood. Regan Benson verbally trashed a homeless man she had previously offered to help to her audience on Saturday's YouTube livestream after the homeless man would not agree with her thoughts on policing. Benson was in Inglewood, Colorado, monitoring the police and handing out water bottles to individuals as the heat had approached 100 degrees Fahrenheit in the area. Her live stream came as she was taking a break from the heat in the shade and wanted to catch her audience up on events in Inglewood. The YouTuber claimed that a man had been tased in Inglewood in an event covered by fellow YouTuber Christopher Denver Metro Audits Cordova earlier in the week, and that a second homeless man was attacked by police while recording the incident. Benson claimed that she attempted to help the second man with police, but faced a fundamental disagreement with the man over his treatment by those police officers. While Benson claimed the man was illegally physically assaulted by police for filming, the man disagreed with her, saying that it was their job to clear the area. After an argument between the two, Benson claims that the man then began to spread rumors that she was a police officer within the homeless community in Denver. She further claimed that the homeless man had ties to librarians who were involved in her ongoing harassment charges in Inglewood and the Inglewood Police Department. Benson made the statement that her services were not regulated by the government, and as a private establishment, she could pick and choose who she would help. Because of that, she announced the ban of the man from all of her services and help effective immediately. She went on to announce that Inglewood police had been involved in 3 incidents where they hospitalized members of the homeless community in the past week, and that while she was still in fear of the police, she is obligated to put her life in danger to monitor police in Inglewood going forward. Benson promised that she would be making an extended statement at the Inglewood City Council meeting to remind the council that she just won a $130,000 settlement from Denver and would be seeking the same kind of settlement from the city should they not bend to her will on policing issues. Finally, Benson ended the address early as she was about to watch a debate scheduled on Denver Metro Audit's channel, and she was also scheduled to help a mother from out of state search for her homeless son in Denver later that day. Monetization, DeCastro coverage, and more. First, the big news of last week was due to some massive promotional work by NCR News Network. Thank you again, NCR. We reached 500 subscribers and level 1 monetization on YouTube. We've been rolling out features as we have the ability to do so, starting with Super Chat, Super Stickers, and Super Thanks. Then yesterday, when ironically we were off the air due to a mix of flooding and football, we were able to launch channel memberships. As we speak, we have 2 full-time level 1 members, so thank you to you both for being early adopters, and we haven't even come up with anything big for members as of yet. One perk we'll be rolling out is that members get exclusive premieres 2 or 3 hours before everyone else for day-to-day standalone video news stories. I'm not sure what level it begins at. I'll have to tinker with settings so it's level 1, but the idea will be that members can watch the individual news stories and newscasts as they're uploaded, while the public will have to wait a couple of hours. And to make it clear, that is early member access for the first 2 or 3 hours only, and then all of the videos will automatically be made available to everyone. Membership is not a requirement, but we have to offer perks if we offer memberships, and a 2 to 3 hour early access window to content when you wouldn't be otherwise seeing that content for the same 2 to 3 hours until a premiere isn't too much hardship on non-members. That's the main perk for now, other than the 2 members-only emojis that we've rolled out. Also, please note, we're at level 1 monetization. That means Super Chat, Super Stickers, and Super Thanks. It also means that until we qualify to get paid, whenever YouTube decides that we've made enough money to pay us, we won't be getting paid until the 20th of whatever month we're in, and YouTube will be taking up to 30% of that money for their cut. Until we reach the 1,000 subscriber mark, we won't be getting revenue from our videos, the few that earn $5 per 1,000 views, so please don't forget our Cash App, PayPal, and GoFundMe campaigns, as we still need to eat and feed cats. We'll be doing the wet food grift again soon, so please, if you can help out, we'd be indebted to you if you do. We had 10 strays hanging out last night between the front and back porches. Lastly, on the subject of Jose Chili de Castro, now that he's switched to a 4-hour format, there is no humanly way to listen to him and get a newscast out every day without sacrificing sleeping or the hours it takes to put out other news stories altogether. Our new policy is to spend no more than an hour on de Castro at 2x speed and sample what he's saying during those marathon sessions. Yes, we will miss things. Yes, we won't be able to provide the same coverage we've been doing in the past when he presented manageable live streams, but that's what we need to do for the sake of the paper. The fact is, he's not breaking news and he's simply acting like a jerk to everyone while playing anti-police videos. He's not moving forward with any of his promised campaigns, and if he has 4 hours to spend hyping his products, he's literally stuck in the same rut and promising things that will never happen. Plus, 4 hours of chili and nothing else? Dear God, no, just no. Also, the newspaper is now coming out in the afternoons. We are just out of time to get it out in the mornings these days. There's just too much work right now with endless chili to start the day. New articles go up as we write them at ReallyCoolSite.org, so you don't need a notification. They're there. All you have to do is check the site. On that note, thank you for your continued support. We're moving forward one step at a time, and hopefully we'll get things straightened out as soon as possible. GoFundMe, DeCastro wins the day. Jose Chile de Castro notched up another win for Sunday in GoFundMe action as his Justice for All Legal Battle for Accountability Fund took in $100, beating out our $10 take by a 10x multiplier for the day. De Castro's win obviously came as someone saw our Friday post with all of the URLs listed in it and clicked vigorously, giving De Castro the $100 in a win that should totally be credited to us, as we're technically the only one currently promoting any of these funds. We'll put it as a shared win, but we're not really keeping score, just here to outrage the few of his fans who frequent these columns, hitting with zingers like, "Do you want some wine with that cheese?" on days when we're bragging about our wins, or similar lines which never quite fit the proper insult for the proper column. If they read said column, that is. Most recent posters seem to come to comment just to comment, rather than watch the base video. Currently, the excuses are that my voice is the absolute worst, they'd rather take down the pants, and, of course, they'd rather be deaf than have to listen to another article. Then they comment on the next article. We're wondering why they came in the first place, as we offer about 4 minutes of content max per article, when they can waste the rest of the day listening to DeCastro's latest 4+ hour address to his masses. Almost 400 out of his 615,000 subscribers show up every day. 300 or so of those hang around to the end, and DeCastro, well, he doesn't have much to do anymore. He's literally exactly where he was last year, mindlessly promising what he'll do when he's governor of a state he hasn't picked and is only using it to push trifold sales or YouTube donations. There's literally nothing more to him these days as he grows wilder, gets older, and spirals out of control into what sounds like premature dementia each night, with the same lines repeated, the same gimmicks, the same prank calls, and the same 30 to 60 people who actually participate in his chats. I mean, yes, he does kick our ass every night with attendance and participation, but he has something like 614,500 more subscribers than we do, and we've only been doing the YouTubes on our own for about 3 months. Are we jealous? Sure. If we had the money he's pulling in each month from his YouTube views, we could probably put all the money back into promotions and campaigns and all sorts of wonderful things that would make the channel grow. But we'll never be a former Power Ranger, a former top executive in New York City, or a governor of a state to be named later. We'll babble, we'll fuss, we'll complain, and we'll beg, but we'll never be Governor Chile de Castro. And that's something we'll never bitch about. On that note, if you'd like to invest in our future, order at Arby's, 'cause we're fat and hungry and a Jamocha shake would probably kill us and violate our vow. Or to force me to keep writing this column each day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, writing new stories to feature here, and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Carolina in Fort Worth claims innocence of all charges. Former YouTube darling Carolina in Fort Worth released a new video to her channel explaining why she is definitely not guilty of all the charges she's facing from the incident with the police officer in Fort Worth earlier in the summer that left her hospitalized. Carolina is now facing 3 charges from the incident, including resisting arrest, interference with public duties, and false reporting. Going in order, Carolina claimed that BZ Watchdog told her to watch the shadows on a replay replay of the incident where she was arrested and ended up on the ground. He claimed the shadows are proof that the arresting officer used two hands on her one arm, causing her to flop around uncontrollably. For the second charge, Carolina said that even though she was ordered to leave the area by the officer and she refused, instead asking a question, it could not be interference in a crime scene as she didn't refuse to leave the area, as she claimed she didn't have time to leave the area, even though she refused to leave the area on camera. Finally, for the third charge, Carolina said that the officers would have had a hard time proving that her screaming of "fire, rape, help" was a false report, as the officers she screamed it at did not react to her screaming. Of the three, this might be her best defense, as she was screaming it to get the attention of the officers and didn't seem to have the intent of knowingly reporting a false or baseless emergency that could cause an action from the emergency agency or put someone in fear or prevent them from occupying a building or vehicle. Carolina made headlines earlier in the summer as she entered a crime scene, thinking that it was simply police clearing a parking lot of illegally parked cars. Instead, it was the scene of a hit-and-run DUI incident where the suspect had fled on foot. The YouTuber walked through the crime scene, and while she wasn't stopped from entering by an officer working the scene, she walked through the crime scene attempting to approach two female officers to ask how they knew which cars were parked illegally. A male officer approached her and told her that she had to leave. When she refused to leave, he went to put her into custody. A struggle ensued, and Carolina ended up face down on the concrete and unconscious and bleeding. Both camera angles seemed to indicate it was a combination of Carolina struggling and the officer attempting to regain control of her that sent her into the ground. There's no clear footage exonerating the officer or backing Carolina's story. Carolina announced that she would write speeches to give to anyone who wanted to come to the next Fort Worth City Council meeting and speak on her behalf. She has yet to file a civil lawsuit against the city of Fort Worth's police department. Craziness in Massachusetts continues again. Sunday saw a crazy end to the weekend of surprise statements from the ongoing conflict between Kate Peter, Grant Smith Ellis, and Turtle Boy Aidan Kearney, as all three released statements to end the weekend. Starting with Ellis, who wrote on Twitter, "Well, here's an update I didn't expect to report. Kate Peter, aka Mafia Masshole, has apparently bragged about violating an active HPO by sending multiple junk removal companies to Aidan Turtle Boy Kearney's new home in front of numerous people and was proud of doing so. Peter already faces a bail revocation hearing this month related to violating that order on another occasion." Kate Peter addressed conspiracies in her statement, writing, "You people want to will some sort of grand conspiracy into existence, but it's not going to happen. It's not real. No one framed either Aidan or Karen for anything. Aidan Kearney and Karen Reed both are cards who committed crimes and thoroughly memorized said crimes while also talking about them, with 45 different versions of the truth, in text with multiple people recording, screenshotting, and babbling every step of the way. Everyone can dig all the way to fucking China. You're never going to find any evidence of any crazy setups except for the ones Aidan and Karen have attempted to orchestrate, both cooperatively and independently." Finally, Turtle Boy Kearney retweeted his lawyer, Mark Bedrow's Twitter post. "Lately, I've seen a barrage of sensational posts and legal experts by self-styled journalists, a retired law enforcement officer, and avowed enemies and haters of Dr. Turtle Boy regarding his alleged misdeeds and activities. These recent posts include claims of ongoing investigation into alleged sexual abuse and ongoing investigation into conspiracy to intimidate witnesses in another criminal case, and a tired and repeated claim of a relationship with law enforcement. The people posting are not in a position to have credible information or properly vet what they claim to be true. These claims are false, misleading, and without any credible basis to be reported as fact. To the extent anyone considers this journalism, it is lazy, biased, and irresponsible. These claims are being created out of whole cloth, in certain cases towel, and or by exploiting cherry-picked information from unreliable sources who are either non-existent or supply cherry-picked information, which is purposely used to disseminate information out of context. Much of the reported facts are demonic demonstrably false and easily disproven in the proper forum, which is not people hiding behind keyboards on Twitter who constantly yell at each other. Put simply, disseminating allegations per sources while attaching cherry-picked analysts and documentation is not journalism. It is activism by people with an agenda of seeking attention, validation from others, and or those seeking to settle a score. Those posts should be treated by serious people in the context. Unreliable and not credible information being provided by biased people with well-known motive to seriously damage another person's credibility. Wait for credible information from credible people who base their information on credible sources of information. Certainly more will be revealed in source public court filings and public proceedings in court, which remains the best source for any information about a criminal case. All three have been fairly quiet on Monday, with no signs of new flare-ups in the ongoing conflicts between the trio. We'll continue to monitor the situation and report if the silence is broken. De Castro fails at brigading again. If insanity is a sign of trying and failing multiple times without changing tactics and expecting a different result, then Jose Chile de Castro's mental health may be in question again, as he tried and failed to brigade a subreddit Sunday night and failed at brigading again. De Castro was angered after apparently being banned by the Ask LE subreddit over the weekend, so he stopped Sunday night's live stream to send his viewers to spam a request for an interview between De Castro and any law enforcement officer on the subreddit. The YouTuber demanded that 10 of his fans, armed with their own Reddit accounts, go to the subreddit to do his bidding, unaware that the moderators were apparently on duty for the area and banned everyone as soon as they began to brigade on behalf of the YouTube idol. Much like every other attempt to spam in the past, De Castro's efforts fell short as all traces of the brigading was gone from the server within minutes of De Castro's attempt, with his users complaining during his live stream that their posts were being removed and they were being banned en masse. He then, as usual, gave up immediately and turned his attention to something else. After dropping the news that he now has a cat and he loves kitties, he switched to prank calling multiple 911 dispatchers with his new southern ignorant Chile de Castro character. He complained about whatever anti-police videos that caught his limited attention span for a few minutes. De Castro did drop the news that his only product that makes any money is his trifold, and that he would rather give away the cop cards than having them pile up in his storage shelves. He stated that he had 10,000 copies of the cards, and he was literally giving them away as no one was buying them. He said he would often grant requests for duplicates of the cards, giving over 10 away to those who requested them for free. Turning his attention to a final video of the night, De Castro focused on a video of a naked, inebriated woman running around a state park in Silver Springs, Florida. The woman apparently attempting to swim in the alligator-infested lake before wandering around the park naked and confused. Upon arrival, the police attempted to question the woman, who then ran away from them after being detained. She was ultimately tased multiple times when she became aggressive with police and ignored their commands. De Castro went into a full-throated defense of the woman's nudity, stating that no one should be offended by it as, according to a study he claimed was on the Your Brain on Porn website, all males over the age of 12 have been exposed to hardcore porn and should be comfortable around nudity. He also questioned why police were questioning the woman, as she was not hurting anyone, and her confusion and strange actions, swimming with alligators, etc., were her choice and not a side effect of the drug she was taking. Ultimately, while the woman was charged with resisting arrest with violence, she also explained she thought she was in a dream and could have hurt herself or others while under the influence. De Castro was promised to outlaw drug laws and laws prohibiting the operation of a vehicle while under the influence of drugs and alcohol when he becomes governor of an unnamed state in the future. The YouTuber brought his live stream to an end soon after promising to find the woman's information so he can help her file a lawsuit against the police, as he didn't hear the police announce that she had been arrested in the highly edited video. He is expected to hold another 4+ hour live stream later today. GoFundMe has lazy Chili DeCastro given up the fight. Jose Chili DeCastro has gone mysteriously quiet on the crowdsourcing front as our own ongoing expenses campaign took the day with a $10 donation from our hate viewer, whose mysterious identity will remain unknown for all of time. That drama aside, where the hell did Chili DeCastro go? We realized that his advanced age, doing multiple shows in a row where he sat stationary for 4+ hours at a time, can take quite the toll on his body. At the end of his Sunday stream, he complained that his legs were numb for sitting so long. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about his complete and near total abandonment of the GoFundMe market and crowdfunding in general. DeCastro was dependent on crowdfunding around the days he unexpectedly went to jail earlier in the year. His fans' generous donations brought in close to $40,000 in mere weeks as he was fighting what turned out to be a very real fight for his freedom against a conviction that was later overturned on appeal. However, since being freed from incarceration, DeCastro announced that he needed $100,000 of his fans' money to sue Justice of the Peace Ann Zimmerman and anyone associated with his incarceration, and launched a GoFundMe for that purpose. He promised his fans that they'd be invited to a gigantic party that he'd throw in his own honor once he received a 7-figure payout from the state of Nevada, with hotel rooms offered to anyone who donated to the campaign. The campaign itself skyrocketed to $4,000 in the first few days of existence, until it just died, getting a one-off donation here and there, and remaining 95% away from completion for over a month now. While it did get a donation on Sunday, that wasn't from DeCastro's doing. We totally spammed URLs on our Friday on a Saturday news story and broadcast, and did more to remind his fans of his crowdsourcing campaigns than he has in weeks, and that's just kind of sad. DeCastro bungled the handling of his release from jail, waiting too long to capitalize on his rabid fan base need for justice, waiting days to make any sort of live statement. He then lazily promoted the campaign as days passed and he learned how hard it would be to actually sue and win against a sitting judge in Nevada. Much like his much-needed Money for Press with Rankers campaign, DeCastro's gotten lazy, forgetting to promote the fund when he was in dire need of cash. He's apparently preferring to sit on his butt and do 4-hour shows, promoting nothing, than to bother to put any effort in any of his ongoing campaigns. Surmise for yourself what it means to the actions he was going to take based on what the campaigns were for. Hint, it ain't happening, and his transformation is complete. He's about to hit 50, he no longer seems to have the fire and passion he used to have, and it seems like he's given up on following through on his campaigns to make a difference in his world. But isn't that exactly like every other promise he's made over the past year? On that note, if you'd like to step on our toes and make us cry like little Cholito, or to force us to keep writing this column each day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Multiple Jeremy DeWitt trials delayed. Both the Jeremy DeWitt News by PoliceTube's Uncle and the So You Dated a Police Impersonator YouTube channels announced that Jeremy DeWitt's upcoming trials have been delayed till August 29, 2024 and September 3, 2024. No reason was given for the delays. This came after a Monday where PoliceTube's Uncle reported that DeWitt's alleged girlfriend, Jennifer Burton, was deposed by the prosecution in one of the cases of failing to register a change in car ownership as a registered SA. According to PoliceTube's Uncle's reporting, Burton confirmed that DeWitt had SA'd her against her will, confirming a rumored incident between the two in an ambulance years ago. She also allegedly confirmed that DeWitt violently attacked her by smashing her foot with a car door after an argument between the two. Burton said that she stayed with DeWitt because you can't just turn off love despite his alleged violent tendencies. So You Dated a Police Impersonator warned his fans not to listen to YouTube reporting outside of the circle of reporters, including Fraudy, PoliceTube's Uncle, Josh, and himself. He said that they all source material from the same source and questioned the information from the source. He went on to say the source was being paid and questioned the information coming from the source, as the person may be providing as salacious information as possible to justify the payment. Further warning that information without confirmation is fruit of the poisonous tree. Police Tube's uncle also reported that a civil debt collection case against DeWitt has been voluntarily dismissed without prejudice last week. Speculation from Police Tube's uncle is that DeWitt is simply a bad debtor and it was not worth going after him. The first of the two rescheduled trials was originally scheduled to start this week. DeWitt will remain in jail throughout the delay. Inglewood City Council ejects Benson from meeting. A defiant Regan Benson was ejected from the Inglewood, Colorado City Council meeting Monday night for disruption after interrupting several speakers and Mayor Nathaniel Sierra with applause. Under a standing state law, disruption is defined as applauding, booing, yelling, and speaking during the public feedback portion of the Inglewood City Council meeting. Mayor Sierra had warned Benson that she would be ejected if she continued to disrupt after she applauded for Christopher Denver Metro Audit's Cordova, who had just addressed the council. Benson stood and applauded for two other speakers, resulting in Mayor Sierra having police escort Benson out of the city council chamber. The YouTuber had been taunting Inglewood with threats to sue over her First Amendment rights since winning two settlements and $130,000 from the city of Denver last month for First Amendment retaliation. She had made it clear that she would be pursuing similar lawsuits against the city of Inglewood should they not bow down to her demands to change policy involving the Inglewood Police Department. It is unclear at this time if the ejection, which was legal understanding city ordinances and state law, will be the source of Benson's threatened lawsuits. Benson was there to protest proposed changes to the public speaking portion of the meeting. In her fiery speech to open the public speaking portion of the meeting, she offered a deal to the council: drop all planned changes to public speaking, and she and Cordova would never attempt to speak again at the meetings. She then attacked all the members of the city council, calling them tyrants and complaining as someone on the city clerk's staff changed the title of her address from addressing Tyrants of Inglewood to addressing City of Inglewood. Cordova would follow her, demanding the firing of Inglewood police officers Robbie Ford and Matthew Stanley for various incidents involving homeless. Cordova singled out Ford, who Benson had been focused on having removed from the force for some time, calling the man a danger to society and needed to be housed in a cage. Benson and Cordova's antics have brought a good deal of attention to the bi-weekly meeting of the council over the past year. Their time addressing the council, aired live on YouTube, usually are speeches designed to insult and degrade council members who they disagree with and demand change from the city council despite neither living in Inglewood. Often live streaming while sitting next to the speaker's podium, Benson was known for insulting and degrading speakers who she disagreed with via text messages to her YouTube side chat, often calling female speakers dumb bitches behind their backs as they were speaking. After the ejection, the City Council debated changes to the public speaking portion of the meeting and passed those changes. Changes of note: there will be a set time limit of 90 minutes for the public speaking session. Each person signed up to speak will get 3 minutes to speak, eliminating the 3 and 5 minute current sessions. Audiovisual material must be provided 2 business days in advance to the council. The council will then have the material ready for presentation. Speakers must provide their name and cross street to the city clerk when they sign up to speak. Out-of-towners must give their name and city name/state name. Anyone refusing to give this information will not be called on to speak. Speakers will be called on in order of sign-up unless the person had previously spoken at the meeting in the last 90 days. Those speakers will be put at the end of the list of speakers. There's no guarantee that speakers will get the ability to speak each week. Cutoff is a firm 90 minutes. Those wishing to record the meeting will do so from a designated press table at the back of the room. Those that disrupt the meeting by booing, applauding, yelling, or talking will be escorted out by the police. The time limit for speakers starts when they begin speaking and not when they are called upon. There will be no flash photography during the meeting without permission. The changes have been made after an extensive study by the City Council, taking feedback from the public on multiple occasions. While Benson and Cordova promoted the idea that the City Council were doing away with the public feedback portion of the meeting, the Council did not do so. City Council meetings remain open to all members of the public, and all members of the public are allowed to sign up to speak, including those who live outside of Inglewood. Tuapre arrested in Florida. Actor and YouTuber Asif Tuapre Khan was arrested at the end of July in Groveland, Florida, for failing to comply with an official order after receiving 7 citations for having illegally tinted windows on his car. In body cam footage obtained by the Raggle Monkey YouTube channel and later aired on Frauditor Troll's channel, Khan was pulled over by police for the excessively darkened tint on his windows. Upon encountering Khan, the arresting officer suspected that he was under the influence of some sort of drug due to his erratic behavior and the tiny size of his eye pupils. Khan was subjected to roadside DUI tests, but passed all of the tests in stunning fashion, showing no signs of impairment. A records check showed that Khan had been pulled over 7 times for operating his vehicle with the illegally tinted windows. While the YouTuber had claimed that he was waiting for a hearing with a judge in August, he ignored directives not to operate the vehicle until the matter was heard. Khan's previous arrest for driving with an illegal tint came the day before, where he was again instructed not to drive the vehicle due to the illegal tint. He indicated that he was on the way to a gym for a workout and seemed unfazed by the arrest, stating that if he was released from jail early, he could still get a workout in before the gym closed. The YouTuber was not in character during the arrest. Khan gained fame over the past year for filming First Amendment auditing-based pranks in character, targeting towns in the South with his odd appearance and activity. His characters include Butterfly Boy, a Robot Man, a Goth Mall Troll, a toned-down autistic character, and a fishing show host. He is also known for his impersonation of the king of First Amendment auditors, Sean Paul Long Island Audits Riaz, who he met last month in a collaboration video where the men were trespassed from a public library in Palm Beach, Florida. GoFundMe, we win! Everybody loses! Again! It was more of the same on Tuesday with our own ongoing expenses campaign taking the day with a $60 take from 2 donations, including $10 from our mysterious benefactor who shall forever remain nameless as she or he torments us from parts unknown. That's it, a $0 take for everybody else. No movement in the market, including from Jose Chile de Castro, who has yet to announce any sort of GoFundMe in support of his dog, Charlie, who may lose his spleen if de Castro is truthful about the possible surgery his dog is facing. He did, however, apparently donate to the nearly defunct Tuapre GoFundMe, which will be added to our list tomorrow, as a $25 anonymous donation came in about the same time as de Castro said he was donating during his live stream. Don't get too excited about that addition, though. From initial review, Tuapre's GoFundMe wasn't exactly a hive of activity for quite some time. It was put up to help him with bond after his first Butterfly Boy video went up and he faced actual jail time. Everything he has done since, except for the arrest in July, was part of a bit or planned in advance to avoid actual arrest. He tests the limits, much like in his job interview videos from before his Tuapre character, but knows enough to cut things off before getting arrested. De Castro spent 90 minutes of his 4-hour live stream last night determining if Apre was just an actor or if he was a serious auditor. After harshly critiquing Apre's real-life encounter with police, he determined that Apre was a little of both, but could come a long way if he embraced de Castro's cop card and trifold products. The YouTuber ignored one of Apree's most recent videos featuring the king of auditing, Sean Paul, Long Island Audit Riaz, and said that he would continue to obsessively watch Apree's videos in the future. On that note, if you'd like to conspire to sacrifice our spleen to the unholy keeper of the dark old pants, or to force me to keep writing this column each day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Craig Henry claims victory over contempt charges. YouTuber Craig Henry announced his surprise victory over the prosecution in his contempt of court case for allegedly participating in recording in a courthouse in Greene County, Indiana. Henry announced his victory on a produced video released to his channel on Monday, in which he debuted his new set, consisting of a small brown table with an overlarge microphone and laptop computer in front of a green screen with a generic blue news background. The YouTuber wore an oversized suit that matched his dated haircut and porn stash, in a look that has been described by some as resembling that of former porn star and current offender Ron Jeremy in photos taken in the late 1980s. Henry's contempt charges stem from his playing of an audio tape that he claimed was secretly recorded by an unrelated individual of his last pretrial hearing over charges of obstruction of a police officer and approaching within 25 feet of a peace officer after receiving instructions to back away. After playing the recording multiple times on his YouTube channel, the prosecutor in the case filed for a contempt hearing against Henry as he allegedly violated the rules of the court by airing the illegally made recording. Henry claimed that he was able to force the judge in the case to recuse herself from the contempt hearing, as she had ex parte communication with the prosecution about Henry outside of Henry's presence. With the judge's recusal, she ordered Henry and the prosecution to find a new judge and a new venue in a week's time. Upon discussion, Henry claimed that the prosecutor was willing to drop the contempt charges if Henry simply acknowledged that he could not record in the courtroom. The charges were dismissed, and Henry claims that it is his constitutional right to record in the courtroom, despite local rules prohibiting it. He said he could not be bothered to know local rules prohibiting recording, and unless he was told in the courtroom, he could freely record in the courtroom due to his First Amendment rights. Henry is still facing the charges of obstruction of a police officer and approaching within 25 feet of a peace officer after receiving instruction to back away. He recently filed indigent status with the court in the ongoing case. De Castro endorses Trump with a catch. Jose Chile de Castro surprised his fans Tuesday night by endorsing former President Donald Trump with a list of conditions should his favorite, independent candidate Robert Kennedy Jr., drop out of the presidential race and endorse the former president. De Castro said that he fully supported Robert Kennedy Jr. at this time, but if the rumors were true and Kennedy was dropping out of the presidential race, he would back Donald Trump. He said that he felt that Vice President Harris would not bring about enough of an authoritarian regime to spark the revolution he needed in order for people to rise up and ultimately overthrow the police. In the mind-boggling statement, as he is on record as hating Trump, De Castro pointed to recent statements by Trump that he thought it should be illegal to question Supreme Court rulings and promises to bring more power to police as the defining point in his possible backing of the former president. De Castro made it clear that he was not endorsing any of Trump's ideas or policies. However, he was only voting for Trump on the idea that Trump would make things so bad, based on his previous time in office, that De Castro would be ready to assume a leadership position in the coming revolution against police. The YouTuber has expounded many times on his belief that Americans would soon revolt against the police and that a civil war would break out to take back freedoms from the police state. While he made it clear that he would not fight in a revolution, he would await the end of the fighting in a foreign country, only to return to lead after the fighting was over, as he was apparently too important to the future of humanity to risk his life for the cause. On the same live stream, DeCastro also announced that he had broken his front teeth again and complained loudly that it would be another week before he could get them fixed. DeCastro had been wearing a prosthetic bridge to cover two teeth that were broken years ago. Sometime in jail, he broke a tooth on the opposite side of the flipper, which was not hidden by the prosthetic. DeCastro again didn't detail how he broke the recently fixed tooth, but described being in discomfort as he would have to wait for over a week for a repair. Also on the live stream, DeCastro announced that his dog Charlie was near death due to an issue with his spleen. The YouTuber explained that he didn't stream on Monday as he had been at the vet all day with the animal and had been emotionally distraught as the dog may need his spleen removed. While DeCastro said that Charlie could live without his spleen, he was uncertain if the animal would survive the operation due to his extreme age of 11 years. DeCastro has yet to start a GoFundMe to help with Charlie's treatment. It is uncertain how either development will impact today's scheduled deposition of DeCastro for his lawsuit against Kate Peter, Team Skeptic, Daniel Clement, and Blue Bacon. He had previously been sanctioned for skipping a deposition, and it's unclear how either potential emergency may impact his testimony. This is a developing news story. An open letter to the Jeremy DeWitt community. Good afternoon and welcome to the Auditing Insanity newscast brought to you by Really Cool News. Really Cool News has been around as a daily publication since 2022 on a website that's been around since 2001. Our site has had a lot of themes over the past 23 years and probably will have a lot of themes in the next 23 years. But right now we provide daily recaps and summaries of news stories for our readers who would like to have a digest format as they may not have time to research or sit down and watch extended videos. The motto around here is we watch it so you don't have to. That's what draws our readers to the website, and more recently, that's what draws our readers to the audio versions of our news stories on YouTube. Recently, we were asked by a reader to expand our coverage into the wacky world of Jeremy DeWitt. With barely any mainstream news coverage and a handful of court documents we can get our hands on, the recaps are usually a collection of what the reporters on his various trials are saying each day. In our articles, we actively credit that reporting to where we've gotten it from. We provide link backs to the sources where possible. We make the documents open to anyone who wants them on the website, and we openly encourage our fans to go to the source for more information as we're just a digest or 2 to 3 minute recap audio of the stories. We're absolutely not here to make waves, claim things we're not, or belittle or degrade your community. While there is some overlap between our established community and yours, and the YouTube algorithm seems to put us out there quite a bit these days, we cannot compete or impact the number of viewers that you're getting or be a threat to the businesses you've established on your YouTube channels devoted to Jeremy DeWitt. We've heard from you. Not in the way that we'd like to as a channel that is nearly fully transparent, providing quite a few ways to contact us past just funny comments on our YouTube videos. If you're absolutely upset about the recaps, we have email, jamescanine@gmail.com. We're available on Discord for a quick voice or video chat. We're here to work things through with you to find some sort of resolution. But gatekeeping? Really? Screaming, don't trust the news unless I give it to you? Finding a threat and recaps that do maybe 60 total views before they're shuffled off into the YouTube ether? Getting upset at the fact that there's someone else out there trying to get your reporting in front of folks who maybe will never see what you're doing, and they may just become a customer of your monetized site? Really? Not directly addressing your anger with a person who is apparently pissing you off, letting it grow inside of you until you lash out over something that could really have been worked out in a 20-second phone chat? That's some serious Jeremy DeWitt activity there. For our readers and our listeners, we're taking Jeremy DeWitt out of the rotation until such a time as he gets convicted or does something meaningful. Please like and subscribe to the channels you're going to like and subscribe to. Let their gates remain closed, and the keepers stand to protect their assets. Ours will forever remain open. I mean, in the end, it's Jeremy freaking DeWitt, proving once again He's not worth the headache. Charlie the dog goes from near death to perfect as his spleen/pancreas trouble is fixed. Charlie will survive! Chile de Castro has dental surgery on the day he was supposed to be deposed. Regan Benson quits homeless outreach? Rebranding is what she says. What? Blue Bacon responds to Castro's objections, pointing out that no criminal record means you don't admit to a criminal record immediately after denying a criminal record. Plus, Tua Pre is added to our crowdfunding zombie list. All this and more on this edition of Auditing Insanity. Good afternoon and welcome to the Auditing Insanity newscast powered by ReallyCoolNews. I'm Jim Finch and I'll be your host tonight for some very special news stories overshadowed by something bigger. Obviously tonight is a big night. Our own Verbo boss is leaving the watch party, for now anyway, to pursue a job that'll take her out of our pay range. Wait, somebody gets paid for this? During the times that we're on the air. Like I corrected someone earlier this day, this is the newscast, and the live show is the watch party. And you'll get your news when we get to it, and you'll like it, damn it, on the watch party. But seriously, we're hoping she goes on to bigger and better things, and we'll talk to you about it in the future, in just a little bit, as we ask you to focus on GoFundMe. Tua Pre joins a dead market. We start the day with the usual look at the GoFundMe market. Everyone has gone without a donation for another day, while our own ongoing expenses fund took the day with a normal $10 donation to keep this column going. The addition of our latest fund, Tua Pre's Help Keep Butterfly Boy Afloat, did nothing to revitalize the market, as other than the anonymous donation from Tuesday night, it hadn't had a donation in 9 months and hadn't been promoted anywhere. Doing fairly well when it was needed, the fund raised roughly over $5,000 out of a $21,000 goal and has sat at a 24% completion rate for some time, which puts it above one of Long Island Audit's many campaigns and above 3 of the 5 official Jose Chile de Castro fundraisers. Overall, it brings the total goal for the funds we watched to $621,550, with $211,791 taken in. It's not a huge bump and did nothing to change the overall completion rate for the industry, which continues to stand at 34%. Tua Pre, real name Asif Khan, is a New York-based comedian who joined the ranks of auditors last year with a series of character-based audits involving his original characters, including Butterfly Boy, a host of a fishing show, a goth mall resident, and an autistic childlike person who is slightly different than Butterfly Boy. His antics have quickly shot him to great fame within the auditing community, and he has embraced the king of auditors, Sean Paul Long Island Audit Riaz, as his unofficial mentor and hero. Tua Pre is so popular that he charges $222 for his personal videos on Cameo, with an average video length of 2 minutes and 7 seconds per video, earning him $1.73 per second of an average length video. As stated earlier, Tua Pre's fund joins a list of zombie funds that are sitting with little to no activity in the market and is not expected to be a game changer, as it had previously gone 9 months without a donation. On that note, if you'd like to conspire to keep our fund tormented by countless zombie funds and to force me to keep writing this column each day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Blue Bacon responds to DeCastro objections. The attorney for YouTube alien enthusiast Michael Blue Bacon Paratini filed his response on Tuesday to Jose Chile DeCastro's objections to his previous motion for summary judgment in the ongoing lawsuit of DeCastro versus Kate Peter, Team Skeptic, Daniel Clement, and Paratini. In the three filings on Tuesday, Paratini's attorney, R. Paul Katrinek, reminds DeCastro that the burden of proof is on DeCastro to prove his allegations that Paratini defamed him in a YouTube video aired on Paratini's YouTube channel, not on Paratini to prove himself innocent of the charges. To do so, DeCastro must prove that Paratini made statements that he knew were false and that he acted with malice. DeCastro is currently objecting to the fact that Paratini brought up his criminal history, which DeCastro claims does not exist, and previously using the nope defense as his reasoning that Paratini's statements were untrue. As the authoritarian figure in his world, DeCastro has maintained his right to declare certain accusations as untrue based on his unquestioned devotion to his truth. The nope defense is essentially characterized as DeCastro saying nope to wave off any accusation against him, as he is the single arbiter of the truth in his world. DeCastro's previous objections, despite a clear criminal history of charges against him, used the nope defense to declare all criminal charges listed against him as untruths, as he claimed they did not happen. Paratini's attorney pointing out that despite DeCastro's claims, he bizarrely admitted at least one of the criminal activities happened, using a fake ID, later in the same motion. He also acknowledged the multiple restraining orders taken against him, though again, he used the nope defense to declare each case was without merit. Also of note was DeCastro's strange sidesteps into comments Paratini made in jest during the submitted video. Paratini's lawyer writing, plaintiff goes a bit off topic in his brief on the criminal records, addressing Paratini's statements that plaintiff's brain had been turned to glue, or that plaintiff was a scammer or a crook. As explained in the reply, no one actually believes that an examination of the plaintiff's brain would reveal Elmer's glue. Thus, the statement is non-actionable hyperbole. He also addressed the opinion that someone is a crook or scammer in that brief, so we will not belabor the point here. These are simply hyperbole or protected opinion, as noted in the cases we cited. Even improperly taking a shot at these statements again, plaintiff does not cite any case which would have interpreted those statements as fact, as opposed to non-actionable opinion or hyperbole. DeCastro is set to sit for a deposition in the lawsuit on Wednesday. It is unclear if he did so as of press time. The hearing on the motion for summary judgment is scheduled for August 30th, 2024. Regan Benson ends homeless outreach? Activist and YouTuber Regan Benson changed the name of her YouTube channel to 5280 Outreach Wednesday night, along with a new note in the About section of the channel indicating that she was rebranding.
Warning! This channel contains R-rated language and is not always appropriate for children. If you can't handle that, this channel content is not for you. My channel is currently in a rebranding process. For those of you that know me and my non-profit work, that chapter has officially ended. You'll find a variety of historical interactions on this channel that pertain to homelessness in Denver and the metro area. You'll see how cruel and inhumane Denver city government, Denver PD, and the Denver FD have treated this marginalized community. You'll see stories of how intent Denver city government is at trying to jail me and shut down my vocal stance in preserving people's rights to simply survive while living homeless. Government sucks. It destroys everything it touches. It seldom does anything right except violate people's rights on the daily, force taxation and incarceration for victimless crimes while victimizing victims repeatedly. Justice. Contact Community Forums for us at gmail.com.
Benson had previously run the Helping Hands for Dignity Coalition nonprofit group. According to the IRS tax-exempt organization search, the coalition received tax-exempt status in 2020. The publicly available tax return for 2020 shows $8,788 in contributions and grants to $5,656 in expenses and $3,466 in assets. The primary expenditure for the organization is listed as food, though no further description is given for that expenditure. Benson is listed as the sole employee of the organization and is shown as working 40 hours a week for the organization in 2020, taking no pay for her services. The coalition filed no tax return or e-postcard for 2021, but filed e-postcards for 2022 and 2023. Nonprofit organizations are allowed to file e-postcards instead of tax returns if they bring in less than $50,000 per year in gross receipts. Benson has come under fire recently for her handling of her homeless outreach work, refusing to work with other groups, and personally banning homeless people from receiving her services if they disagree with her anti-government philosophies. The YouTuber most recently made headlines as she was ejected from the Englewood, Colorado City Council meeting on Monday for disruption. She apparently violated both the local ordinance and a state law by standing and clapping during a public feedback session after being warned that she was disrupting the meeting. 5280 Outreach may indicate a pairing with the Movement 5280 nonprofit organization that has taken residence in Englewood. The group is based out of a former church in Englewood and claims that their focus is on providing a family of support for at-risk gun-housed youth and young adults. The increasing presence of the group in a residential area of Englewood has drawn protests from residents complaining of open public drug use by those using the group's facilities, increased violence and crime in the area, and lowering of property values. Benson herself has spoken in favor of the group at Englewood City Council meetings in the past. Regan Benson does not reside in Englewood, Colorado, but has taken a role of unofficial Overwatch specialist in the recent past, focusing on bringing reforms to police and emergency services in the city. The former activist is apparently actively purging her channel of produced videos, with the vast majority of her videos in the past 2 years being removed from public view overnight. DeCastro's Charlie makes miracle recovery. On a day when Jose Chile DeCastro was set to be deposed in his California Superior Court lawsuit against Kate Peter, team skeptic Daniel Clement, and Michael Blue Bacon Paratini, DeCastro livestreamed claiming to have just had an emergency dental surgery. It is unclear if DeCastro appeared for his deposition, which was set up by the court on a July 30th, 2024 ruling, and after DeCastro had been sanctioned for missing a previous deposition, but DeCastro had announced that he had a broken tooth on Tuesday's night broadcast, and his dog Charlie was deathly ill and soon may lose his spleen in surgery. Wednesday's broadcast showcased DeCastro speaking slowly, to the point where 2x speed playback on YouTube was needed to bring him to his normal voice tone, coughing and drooling on camera as he dealt with the after effects of oral surgery. He claimed he would be in the same condition for a week and apologized for his voice sounding below par. DeCastro spent the night pitching his 5A cop card product, which he had previously declared as a loss leader, filling up his storage shelves with thousands of excess cards as he was unable to move them. In his new pitch, the 5A cop card, if used retroactively through time, was pitched at protecting you from the intrusive police questioning when you invoke your First Amendment rights as a journalist and your Fifth Amendment rights to remain silent in such situations as creeping around a public facility, driving 102 miles per hour in a 55 miles per hour zone because you were running out of gas, and when your temporary tag came up with a warrant in the police systems. DeCastro played corresponding videos featuring all three situations during his pitch for the product, promising massive deals to anyone who wanted 10 or more 5A cop cards, and strangely, losing focus and saying that he gives out more cop cards than are purchased, and that he'd provide anyone with a card if they could not afford one. Towards the end of the broadcast, DeCastro was thanking his fans for their generous super chats when he announced that Charlie the dog was doing fine and was making a miraculous recovery after being treated through medication for the problem with his pancreas. The YouTuber, who had previously claimed that Charlie was deathly ill with a spleen issue, now insisted that Charlie would not need surgery on his pancreas, and he was responding to medication and was expected to make a full recovery. DeCastro also announced that he was no longer personally shipping products from his website, despite previous claims that he would personally ship everything, and that those with shipping issues should contact his DLZ Clips email address. The YouTuber, despite dental issues and a no longer dying animal, is expected to stream again tonight. Okay, for those who waited, right now, there is no plan. I have a few people in mind that I'd like to come on the show, most of them way out of our ballpark, as our immediate choices have said no. No, no, and touch me again and I'll slam your cheese curds into the freezer door. Again. Not sure why Pope Phil was so angry about his damn cheese curds, but for the love of God, we're down about their loss. We like cheese curds, damn it! But in all seriousness, we're a little lost and missing her already. Verbo, that is. We're planning to take the next 3 days off from the watch party, catch up a little on projects, then come back fresh on Monday with something new and different, or more of the same crap. We're not sure yet. We know the watch party won't be the same without her, and she damn well knows she can come crawling back at any time. Hey, we did take her old lady cane away. We did. She had to get punished for leaving. But she will always be the brains of this outfit and welcome here. Please leave your comments for her in the replies below this video. She'll always remain the best. And on that note, the newscast will continue tomorrow with another edition of Auditing Insanity. Dollahide ordered to show cause again. In the never-ending case of Jason Dollahide versus various Oklahoma defendants, Judge Patrick R. Wyrick ordered on Thursday Dollahide to show cause as to why the case should not be dismissed without prejudice in its entirety by September 5, 2024. This is a weird case as it had been without activity since last summer until being revived this spring with an order that granted leave to file an amended complaint. A deadline was then set for April 30th, 2024 for the amended complaint, which was never filed. In May, the court ordered Dollahide to show cause as to why the vast majority of the defendants shouldn't be removed from the case. Dollahide's attorney responded that he wouldn't object to all the defendants, except for Dennis Dickens and the Oklahoma Department of Safety, be removed from the case. He then said he'd file an amended complaint against the remaining defendants, but never did. Dollahide is seeking $250 million from the defendants from an incident with police in 2022 at an Oklahoma park. In more Dollahide news, VineLink confirmed that Jason Dollahide is currently serving two 15-year sentences for assault and battery with a dangerous weapon. He is listed as being a current occupant of the Cleveland County Jail backlog facility. Dollarhide, whose cause had previously been championed by Jose Chile Castro, but hasn't been mentioned since De Castro got out of jail himself, still faces the following charges: resisting executive order, reckless driving, failure to stop at a stop sign, failure to yield to emergency vehicle, failure to signal on turning, failure to keep right, child neglect, assault on a police officer, domestic assault and battery in presence of minor, assault and battery of police officer, domestic assault and battery, and protective order violation. Finally, Dullahide's wife Heather also made the news as the Oklahoma court website has updated and her full range of charges has been revealed. She is apparently being held in a drug treatment facility. She currently faces a charge of unauthorized use of a vehicle from February of this year, 2 counts of bail jumping from January of this year, charges of trespassing after being forbidden, and obstructing an officer from June of last year, and finally leaving the scene of an accident involving damage from December of 2022. De Castro documents brains of glue. Jose Chile De Castro's attorney filed the transcript of the June 5, 2022 video where they said that Michael Blue Bacon Paratini defamed De Castro in the video, highlighting various comments and phrasing in the transcript to support their accusations. One problem for De Castro comes in the fact that there isn't a video put out by Paratini on that date, and the one that they're claiming as evidence of defamation stretches the limits of on or about the June 5th date while misstating what Paratini said in the video. The video is from May 6, 2022, on a live stream where Paratini was answering questions from the audience. De Castro's main selling point, that Paratini believed that De Castro had brains of glue. Paratini was answering a super chat question from Mark Jones, asking if it was possible if De Castro's brain could be turning to goo. Paratini replied, "I think there are a lot of things that might be turning his brain into glue, assuming his brain is being turned into glue." Paratini mistakenly changed the word goo to glue while giving a glib answer to the question. Immediately following the question, he indicated that he was going back into serious mode, indicating that his previous response was in jest. De Castro got some good news on Thursday, as Judge Daniel J. Alberjetz gave him an extension in the refiling of his Ironton, Ohio-based lawsuit in Nevada, as the judge granted him more time to serve defendants. Minute order in chambers of the Honorable Magistrate Judge Daniel J. Alberjetz on August 22, 2024. Re-11 motion for extension of time to complete service. Plaintiff moves to extend the service deadline to October 23, 2024. He explains that, shortly after he filed the complaint, he was incarcerated and later exonerated on appeal. The court finds that plaintiff has demonstrated good cause and grants his motion. While De Castro is granted the time to serve the defendants in the case, it is unclear if the case will ever go to trial, as his previous attempt at the same lawsuit was recently dismissed with prejudice and reaffirmed by an appeals court. Though not all was good in De Castro's world, as on Wednesday, Judge Andrew Gordon dismissed defendant Sitco from De Castro's lawsuit against the Las Vegas Metro Police Department for lack of service. Order on April 5, 2024, plaintiff Jose De Castro was advised by the court that his claims against defendant Sitco would be dismissed without prejudice unless by May 5, 2024, De Castro either filed proper proof of service or showed good cause why such service was not timely made. De Castro has failed to do so. It is therefore ordered that plaintiff Jose De Castro's claims against defendant Sitco are dismissed without prejudice. Officer Sitco was added via an amended complaint, though was not on scene for the incident that inspired the lawsuit. He allegedly had a January 2023 encounter with De Castro in which De Castro claimed his rights were violated. De Castro had been previously ordered to properly serve Sitco, as there was no record of service in the case. This may be appealed, as De Castro was incarcerated at the time of the judge's order. Turtleboy claims Kate Peter charged again. Turtle Boy Aiden Kearney made headlines on Wednesday as he announced that Kate Peter had again been charged with felony witness intimidation, leaving out his involvement in the case and his potential biases in his reporting in his announcement, which leads us to report on our own biases before we start the column. Really Cool News began as a daily update on Kate Peters' Masshole Troll Mafia Chili de Castro forum. At one point, we were approached about becoming part of Kate's group, but turned down the opportunity to remain independent, since we had an existing website that we were focusing on. We haven't directly spoken to our recollection to Kate in over a year, but claims of bias could be made as we got our start in her forums, and we've spoken in the past on various issues. See Potential Bias Declared. Please judge the story and my reporting on that bias as you read through it. On Thursday, Aiden Turtleboy Kearney ran a Twitter post that Kate Peter was charged in Dedham, Massachusetts District Court with 2 more counts of felony witness intimidation. Kearney's wording of his tweet implied that the action was a new arrest and that things were happening in the case. It was a new indictment, yes, but no arrest was made as far as the record shows, and the incident happened on July 11, 2024. The only incident we found that corresponds to that date was an incident on July 11, where Peter was at a traffic light outside of the courthouse while Kearney was attending a hearing, and Peter flipped off the crowd after taunts were made at her. Neither Kearney or ex-girlfriend Lauren Murray, who have protective orders against her, were seen in the crowd, and at the time, Kearney's restraining order was believed to be 30 feet, which would make it nearly impossible to violate Kearney's restraining order due to proximity issues. Kearney or Murray would have had to file charges against Peter, as police were not on the scene, nor did Peter linger. Later in the summer, Kearney would attempt to file charges against Peter for simply standing near a police officer while Kearney walked up to the officer at a protest outside of Karen Reed's second-to-last hearing in her murder trial. The cop explained that it didn't work that way, and Kearney did not get an indictment on Peter for the incident, as of yet. Kearney's claims that multiple courts are considering revoking Peter's bail or bond seem to be just that at this time, as there's no reflection of any of this when you look up her cases in Massachusetts court system website. As an award-winning journalist, Kearney reported the news. His own past history with Peter was left out, along with the fact that he was the reporting figure and directly involved in the indictment. Peter is set to be arraigned for the new charges on October 1st, 2024.
On the 6th day of May in the year 1 plus 2022, in the heart of the emerald region that's known by he, she, and who, a man sat with his hand in a puppet's rear end, reading a super chat about a boy who went around the bend. The super chat asked if the boy had brains of glue. Brains of glue? Asked the man. Why, I might agree with you. Not that I'd be silly and think it's true, but that boy might indeed seem to have brains of glue. The boy liked to fight, wrestle, it's true. Headgear was for sissies, he'd claim, but that was after a beating or two. He never acted right at any time that anyone knew. Since his brains received lots of beatings, and might explain a thing or two about how the brains might have become glue. Never did the man believe it was true that the boy, call him Chi-Chi, had brains of glue. He only responded to you, the one who asked in a super chat about the brains of glue. But now the man is in court, defending his blue from the boy named Chi-Chi with the alleged brains of glue. What more could he say as the boy bungled away any chance of a payout, which made him boo-hoo? Because getting facts straight is important to me and to you. and every him, her, and who, that you never go on attack with questionable facts when you, too, have brains of glue. And on this day in August, with the brains not of glue, did the boy Chi-Chi tell an untrue about a man who answered a question about brains of glue, and maybe one day proved to us all that what the man said was true. Chi-Chi, the boy, really did have brains of glue.
GoFundMe, Wallace plea deal news, and more. Thursday and Friday brought no real news to the GoFundMe market, as our own ongoing expenses campaign won the day with a $10 donation on Thursday, but failed to do so on Friday, as is custom by our mysterious benefactor, as the paper was dark for most of the day. The news itself for the market was usually bleak, as no one did anything yet again to spark any donations, and even those in apparent need, Jose de Castro, Floyd Wallace, etc., could not be bothered to attempt to raise money for the campaigns. Wallace's special case, as his own fund seems to be at the heart of some controversy in his community. He raised funds for overseas trips that he apparently never took, as he focused on South American countries since the fall of 2023 and never made it to Asia as promised. Wallace has admitted that the money from various campaigns has gone elsewhere and issued partial refunds to those who funded trips he never took. However, in not keeping his word, he otherwise alienated his donors, resulting in the lack of backers he complains about in more modern live streams. Wallace made some news over the past week as his attorney apparently negotiated the plea deal he has been bragging about for some time now, as there's a new listing on his file for plea and sentencing in Oklahoma scheduled for October 1st, 2024. Wallace was arrested in Oklahoma last year after acting strangely in a police parking lot at the Cleveland County Jail. He refused to comply with orders from police and was arrested and released on bond later in the evening. This was Wallace's last known audit while working in conjunction with Jose Chile de Castro, as Wallace chose to leave the country after the arrest to focus on sex tourism. It is unclear if the pending plea deal will prevent Wallace from leaving the country later this month for his planned trip to Colombia. The YouTuber hasn't live-streamed or put out content since the plea deal, but is not listed as a current inmate in the Cleveland County Detention Center, where he would have been housed if his bond was revoked. We'll update this story with more news as he either goes live or the courtside updates. On that note, if you'd like to answer our plea for either wet cat food or actual people food, and to force me to keep writing this column each day, we do have a GoFundMe of our own. All proceeds go to keep the lights on, eating, and writing new stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. Karen Reed, motion to dismiss denied. The Karen Reed defense team suffered an expected blow on Friday as Judge Beverly Cannoni ruled against motions to dismiss by accused murderer Karen Reed of second-degree murder charges and charges of leaving the scene of an accident after knowingly injuring someone. Reed is on trial for allegedly striking her then-boyfriend, Boston police officer John O'Keefe, with her SUV after an argument when she was dropping O'Keefe at a friend's after-party after a night of bar hopping. The defense for Reed claims that O'Keefe was murdered at the party by homeowner Brian Albert, nephew Colin Albert, and friend Brian Higgins, and then deposited on Albert's front lawn as part of a massive conspiracy to blame Reed for the murder. Reed's first trial for the murder ended in July with a hung jury after a little over 24 hours of deliberations. Her defense team had pushed for a mistrial early in the deliberations as a note was sent indicating that the jury was hopelessly deadlocked, and then the defense team bragged afterwards that they successfully defended Reed from the charges by the Commonwealth. Both actions were noted in Judge Cannoni's decision, rejecting the defense's new claim that they were not allowed to object to the mistrial and that they had new evidence that the jury unanimously acquitted Reed of 2 of the 3 counts, but never put those verdicts forward as they were confused by jury instructions. Reed's defense team has been leading a public campaign to declare that Reed was found innocent beyond a reasonable doubt, even though the jury was hung and never came forward with a verdict in the case. Hampering the defense's long-shot efforts was the fact that none of the jurors, including the one who was recently interviewed by Aidan Turtleboy Kearney, would provide affidavits to back their statements. The prosecution countered the motions by stating that the judicial system is based on actual verdicts by juries, not allegations of jury votes from the deliberation room, and that the defense had multiple opportunities to join the prosecution in objecting to a mistrial. Prosecutor Adam Lally had fought valiantly against the mistrial as he felt that 24 hours after 8 weeks of testimony was simply not enough time for the jury to review the evidence, let alone come up with a verdict. He was overruled and the judge declared a mistrial without objection from the defense. Reed is expected to appeal the decision to the Massachusetts State Supreme Court. Her second trial for the murder of John O'Keefe is expected to start in late January 2025. Dueling responses in DeCastro's LVMPD case. Attorneys for the Las Vegas Metro Police Department and Jose Chile DeCastro filed supplemental briefs on Friday to support their cases for and against a summary judgment in the case. DeCastro's lawyer, Michael Mee, essentially drew upon DeCastro's recent victory in an appeals court that overturned his sentence for obstructing an officer and interfering in a traffic stop, crimes which DeCastro served nearly 4 months in the Clark County Detention Center while awaiting his appeal. Mee hit on the point that the appeals court found that arresting officer Brandon Bork did not have probable cause and violated DeCastro's First Amendment right to record when he arrested DeCastro in March of 2023. The attorney stuck to Las Vegas revised codes, which stated that the statute which was applied to DeCastro for his arrest only covers fighting words and physical contact that would hinder, delay, or obstruct a public officer from performance of their duties, which Mee claims DeCastro did not do. Attorney Mee argued that the defense was not entitled to a summary judgment as there is a genuine dispute to material acts in the case, as there is an outstanding excessive force claims, despite no evidence presented by Mee to show excessive force, and significant damage to DeCastro's ulnar nerve and testicles based on treatment by DeCastro by the LVMPD officers. Craig R. Anderson, representing the LVMPD, points out that none of the defendants were involved in DeCastro's appeal, nor were given the opportunity to challenge DeCastro's claims in the appeal. Therefore, the broad acceptance of the state court's decision would be objectionable. He also noted that the Wilson case, which was used in the verdict by the appeals court, was not widely established law at the time of the arrest of DeCastro, as it wasn't decided until nearly a year after DeCastro's arrest. Judge Andrew Gordon, who was overseeing the case, also had previously found probable cause for the arrest last fall in his own review of the case, despite the later ruling by the appeals court. He also dismissed claims by DeCastro with prejudice of unreasonable search and seizure, false arrest imprisonment, invasion of privacy, and negligence-based search and seizure. DeCastro's claims of First Amendment retaliation, equal protection, and negligence-based claim for biased policing were dismissed without prejudice in the same ruling, with very specific leave to amend, leaving only his claims of excessive force and supervisor liability as the key charges left in the case. DeCastro's Second Amendment complaint ignored Judge Gordon's ruling, reinstating all the previously dismissed charges against the LVMPD, and ignoring Gordon's specifics for refiling the charges that were dismissed without prejudice. This act by DeCastro led to the defendants filing a motion for dismissal of DeCastro's Second Amended complaint, or motion for summary judgment, based on DeCastro's actions. Benson reverses course. YouTuber and apparent former advocate for the homeless, Regan Benson, apparently changed course on Friday, returning her YouTube channel to its original Regan Benson name and returning the vast majority of the videos that had previously been hidden from public view. It was noted on Wednesday that Benson had changed the name of her page to 5280 Outreach and had removed 2 years' worth of produced videos from public view. The channel reverted back to its original name on Thursday, and her public statement announcing the end of her homeless outreach program remains in place. What's changed since Thursday? Benson announced on her community page another win in her war against Denver police. Denver jury finds me not guilty today. I win again. Oh snap. Poor O'Neill. He's 0 for 3 in taking down Regan. I think he's mad. He helped the case. He made a complete fool of himself. Again. This is the latest in a string of wins for Benson as she received $130,000 in settlement money from Denver in July after settling 2 cases where she was allegedly the subject of a retaliatory arrest and a subject of a violation of her First Amendment rights. Benson had been arrested for filming within a Denver District 3 police department last year by Sergeant Brian O'Neill. The arrest was aired live on a YouTube channel, with a fan in the area coming to retrieve Benson's devices after seeing that Benson was being arrested on her live stream. Apparently, as part of Benson's settlement with Denver, signs prohibiting recording in Denver area police stations have been removed. Also, as part of the settlements, the Denver Police Department admitted no wrongdoing, though released documents have shown that internal investigations found that officers acted improperly in both incidents that inspired the lawsuits. We'll continue to monitor Benson's page for further changes.